Hello, Craig Birch here at the Barclaycard Arena in Birmingham, where we just had the Matchroom boxing press conference for their big show here, live on Sky Sports, May the 13th. I have here Matchroom's Lord Matchroom ruler, head honcho, I don't know what your title is these days, Eddie Hearn. Eddie, how you doing?
Travelling salesman.
Certainly good at it though, that's for sure.
Yes.
What about selling sand to the Arabs? How have you been, Eddie, okay?
Yeah, really good. Good to be back here. Beautiful day. And, first time we've been able to bring World Championship boxing to Birmingham. Very excited.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, so much going on at the Manchester Arena that night, wasn't there? But obviously, Kell Yafai becoming Birmingham. I mean, there may have been another world champion in 1774 or something like that, but he's certainly, it's such a great story for Kell and such a great, lifelong dream fulfilled. And I guess as a promoter, that makes you very pleased as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, and we've had him from day dot, and he's come through. We've always felt like he was a special talent, but until you put them in those fights, you never quite know. And we put him in with a very good world champion, Lewis Conception, and he dealt with him in unbelievable fashion. Won nearly every round, and now I think he can go on and be a real star in world boxing. And he's so pleased to be back in Birmingham, defending his title in a big homecoming fight.
Of course, obviously his challenge is going to be Siguru Muranka, probably pronounced that.
Muranaka.
Yeah, Muranaka. Okay, I tried. Yeah. But obviously he's going to come and spoil the party and so on. But was this always your dream of putting on world title fights in Birmingham? I suppose Kell was the most qualified to do that, I guess.
Yeah, you always need that big flagship name, but of course you've got Sam Eggington coming through now, and a big win for him against Buglioni-Ricky at the O2 just a few weeks ago, and now he gets a chance to challenge the European champion Rodriguez for the European title. It's an incredible story. Yeah. And whilst Yafai is making the headlines and he's really going to be flying the flag for Birmingham with that World Championship win, you've got another fighter in Eggington who has beaten Frankie Gavin in one of the fights of the year, Buglioni-Ricky. If he beats Rodriguez for the European title, you have to say he's banging on the door for a world title shot, and he's going from strength to strength.
Of course, Sam's trying to play that down, but there's no getting away from that. No, if he becomes European champion,
and he's earning it. He's earning it. So I think literally get this win, and then 2 more fights, I think he'll be ready to change for a world title.
Okay, and I imagine you'll want to get that here, won't you? And
really
we
have a double world title. World championships, anything like that. It's all about momentum.
Yeah.
And when you get one, there's going to be others who are looking. You've got, Kell's brother, Yafai, who's in a very tough fight here against Sean Davis.
Yeah. That's
another fighter that I believe can go on and challenge for world titles. So, I think that he's really in the mix, and so is Eggington, and all these boys. Frankie Gavin wants to come back and challenge for a world title as well. He's got a career-defining fight against Dave Ryan on the night, and, we're ready to go.
Obviously with Frankie as well, Dave Ryan, I think this fight's going to be at 145 and so on. Frankie, has never been beaten, I don't think at all, in the super lightweight division. You must be pleased he's going back down to that weight. And
he is, but I want him to get to 145 first, because I feel like this fight is so important to his career. I don't want him to have the fight at the weight and then wish he would have made it at 145 or 144, because if he loses to Dave Ryan, I think his career is over. And this is a very tough fight. Dave Ryan is coming up from light welterweight. He really is going to be a much stronger force at welterweight now. He'll fancy his chances against Frankie Gavin, and Frankie must beat Dave Ryan. It's a very tough fight.
Of course. If you've been telling Frankie for a long time, Frankie, you need to come down and weight.
Yeah, but it's very difficult.
This guy's headlining welterweight world title fights for you, isn't he?
And he's really struggled to make 147, but he didn't make it last time against Eggington.
No,
and, this isn't a guy
lost out the scales days before.
Yeah, but this isn't a guy who's going out and just eating and is ill-disciplined. He's training hard, so it's once you've been making a weight for such a long time, we're not talking about 2 or 3 pounds. You're talking about 7 pounds. It's a lot of weight. So that's why I want to make this one at 145.
Yeah.
Let him get down to that weight, see how he feels in the fight. Then we can look at the option of going to 140 if necessary.
Of course, obviously with Frankie as well, the only time he's really lost is when he's been bullied by big welterweights, isn't it? Do you feel dropping down in division is going to be a lot harder to beat?
He should be stronger at the weight. He should be much stronger at 140, providing he can make the weight correctly.
Yeah.
That's why I want to get this one done, see how he makes 145, and then look at a move to 140.
Yeah, it was mentioned in there as well. Ricky Burns, Frankie Gavin. Is that something you can see happening?
Well, he needs to string some wins together. At the moment he's a long way away from fighting Ricky Burns for the world title.
He said by the end of the year.
But he needs, if he can have a good win against Dave Ryan, then win some kind of eliminator or world level fight at 140. Yeah, I'd love an excuse to put one of our own guys in with Ricky Burns, but Burns has the unification fight, and Gavin's got to worry about fighting for his career first on May the 13th.
Yeah, both there look past their next test, but obviously as well. I mean, you talk about, I believe you even mentioned Tommy Coyle, you might try.
Yeah, that was the fight I was going to make,
Frankie.
but he injured his eye socket, so he won't be ready for May the 13th. But he'll be ready soon after, and again, that's another good fight as well.
Is that a fight you'd be keen to make to sort of
get
Frankie
it's a good fight. I think it's a good fight for both.
Yeah.
And a good stylistic matchup as well.
Okay, Eddie, you've not spent much time at home recently. You've been in every YouTube channel I've seen. You've been on every TV screen. It's boxing absolutely everywhere. I've never watched so much boxing in my entire life than I have done in the past. But obviously the big one, not too long ago, with Tony Bellew, David-Haye. Obviously the end result of that, the aftermath. I'll start with David-Haye. Did David-Haye prove a lot of things to you? I know you and him don't get on, but did he prove a lot of things in relation to hearts and what David-Haye's really about to you that night?
I don't know David-Haye that well, but people have always told me that he's got a lot of heart and he's got a lot of bottle in the ring. I wasn't so sure, but after May the 3rd, May the 4th, you can't really say, March the 4th, sorry, you can't really say that he doesn't, because he showed a lot of height. They should have pulled him out of that fight 2 or 3 rounds before.
Yes, I said
but it's hard because that he hasn't got that relationship with Shane where they know each other inside out. So maximum respect to him and the heart he showed in that fight.
Of course. I'll talk a little bit about David-Haye's future prospects. Would you be happy to work with him again? Or he has been difficult in the build-up to this, hasn't he?
Has, but, part of that is for show, and part of that is because he's had a lot of things his own way throughout his career. He made a lot of money in the fight. He made a lot of new fans in the fight. He has got a bad injury, which we don't know if he'll even come back from, and if he does, when that'll be. But a lot of people want to see the rematch. So we're certainly not sitting here today saying, no, we're not entertaining the rematch. Tony Bellew will want the respect in those negotiations that he didn't get in the first negotiations. And we need to know when Haye will be back, and we won't know that for a couple of months.
Obviously Tony Bellew as well, I listened to various interviews with him. I wasn't entirely convinced he's going to box again either. I mean, he's financially set his family up.
Yeah,
he might walk away himself.
I think the lure of the fights and the excitement will be too much for him. My instructions from him are go and tell me what's out there. So I'll present those opportunities to Tony Bellew, and I think they'll be too good to turn down.
Yeah.
And I believe you'll see him fight again, whether that's Deontay Wilder, whether that's Joseph Parker, whether that's Tyson Fury, whether that's David-Haye. He's got a lot of options at the moment, and he's in such a great position. And I'm so pleased for him and proud of him because, the goal was to go out there and secure the future of your family, but in the process, he's become one of the biggest stars in world boxing. And now he's going to get another one, and a much bigger one.
Of course.
So I'm chuffed for him.
It's interesting as well. You say, the goal was to provide for your family. The goal was also, with the threats of violence that preceded it and so on, was to come home to your family in one piece. Yeah. And both fighters,
the build-up was distasteful, from Haye's side. Some of it he meant, some of it he didn't mean, and boxing's a tough game. The last thing you want is injuries in a ring. But basically, what happened in that fight was both guys come out of it with a huge amount of respect and credit, from the British public.
Okay. Just for argument's sake, Bellew goes off and fights Tyson Fury. Anthony Joshua beats Klitschko. Is there any money in Joshua and Haye anymore? Or?
Joshua-Haye, I think the only fight for David-Haye is Tony Bellew.
Yeah.
I think unless he gets that fight, he should retire. Because it's always a what if, and it is a what if. What would have happened if his Achilles didn't go? We still believe we would have won the fight, but we can't sit here and say that for sure. So people do want to see it again, and I'm sure he wants to put the wrong right.
Okay, Anthony Joshua was in the crowd that night as well. He's preparing for certainly the biggest night of his career. Could also be the biggest night of Klitschko's career. Could also be the biggest night British boxing has ever seen. I mean, you can't get a ticket anywhere in the house. I mean, the only way you've got to be able to watch it live, I think, is fly over the top of it, I think, aren't you? So
Sky Box Office.
Yeah, Sky Box Office, of course. We're sure we're doing the luxury of our own homes and enjoy every round. And we might be a little warmer in there as well, I guess. But obviously, such a big night. I mean, did you sort of know this is going to be the biggest fight ever? Because it already is the biggest fight ever.
90,000. It's just such a big fight. It's such a great defining fight for both men. Crossroads fight. You've got the young lion. People talking about the biggest star in world boxing, Anthony Joshua, and you've got a legend of the heavyweight division. It's his 29th world championship heavyweight title fight, Vladimir Klitschko.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to get a much more motivated one in this fight that you've got against Tyson Fury. Unfortunately, for us.
Yeah.
So this is a really, really tough fight. I see this fight as a complete 50-50 fight. The atmosphere is going to be unbelievable, and we're ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, it must be refreshing to deal with Klitschko's camp. That's some of the things
they're still difficult.
Really.
They're a camp that have got things their own way for a long time as well. But I think once you gain the respect of them, and everyone works off good business ethics, Bernd Bonte's been a pleasure to deal with.
Yeah. Okay. Joshua, say he wins this, even better. He wins by TKO. Surely then there can be no more criticisms of whether Anthony Joshua is really as good as everyone says.
I mean, this is his 19th fight, and he's fighting Vladimir-Klitschko. So you look at Deontay Wilder's had 38 fights, something like that, and he's not fighting anyone up to this kind of level. So Joshua's moving very quickly. He fought for the world heavyweight title in his 16th fight. Now you can't do a lot more than what he's doing, but there's always going to be criticism. But ultimately a win over Klitschko, I think there can be no denying that this guy is the future of boxing.
Do you truly believe this guy's going to be one of the greats, maybe the best heavyweights ever?
Yeah, I do. And I thought that from day dot.
Yeah.
Some people agreed, some people laughed, but I think we're on the verge of starting to cement that legacy on April 29th.
Okay, Kell, Brook-Errol Spence as well, another big world title fight. Yeah. Bramall Lane, I think we're just waiting for security clearance on that.
From the council to approve, we're putting for 29,000 and the seating plans, and it's all kinds of things that need to get approved. Policing, stewarding, exit rows, and all sorts. So we're on the verge of that now. I hope that will come in the next 72 hours, and I think probably early next week you'll get the announcement, May the 27th, Bramall Lane, Brook against Spence, which I think is one of the best fights in world boxing. I really do. Yeah. Okay. On the undercard as well. I mean, obviously one of the big joker for one of our guys from around here, Ricky Summers from Tipton, couldn't fight Frank Buglioni for the British title on the Hay Bellew card because Frank picked up a cut, sadly. Yeah. We're looking at cards. I mean, understandably, Frank doesn't want to come to Birmingham defending the guy's backyard and made it 13. No, he would have done, but his cut won't be ready. This was actually the date we targeted, but they said end of May, so that's probably going to be on June the 3rd at the O2.
Oh, right.
We're looking at doing a show in London on the O2, so Summers will hopefully go back to the O2. Not on the Hay Bellew card, but on a big card as well.
Yeah, that'll be music to his ears, Good. I imagine, when he watches this. Obviously, one last note as well, another guy from around here, Jason Welborn, is going to be boxing under your banner, on the Anthony Crawler.
Yeah. Great fight.
It is.
Very dangerous fight for Marcus Morrison. He's shown a lot of potential, but we have no idea how good he is. Welborn, we know how good he is. He's a good fighter. He's been in with some top British talent. And I'll say this is a very tough fight for Marcus Morrison. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, excellent. One last question. After the big one, it seems like all the big shows have all come already. Is the big plans, in the autumn and so on, for big, massive builds? Keep going. Some big fights in the summer. Start planning now for September, October, November, December. No letting up.
Yeah, of course.
Big nights keep coming.
Am I right in saying every year in British boxing now is bigger than the last?
Exactly. That's what we've got to do. We've got to keep raising the bar.
Excellent. Fantastic. Thanks very much for your time, Eddie. We'll see you again soon.
Cheers.